I spent 5 months working on my dream dating sim, from concept art to coding to drawing every single art asset in 4 months. I now have a playable prototype, 20 plus background art, 8 character sprite art, a dialogue box system, and the reaction system. A system where instead of just reading the story in front of you, you can react to it. And then the character you're talking to will respond positively or negatively depending on your reaction. Another system I came up with for this game is the hangout system, where you get to hang out with one of the 8 romanceable characters. You will be thrown into a never-ending string of events, and if you react correctly, they will be pleased and you will gain heart coins. Heart coins is a currency of this game, and it can be used to do many things, but I guess the most important usage of it is to unlock the main story of the game in the true story mode. In visual novel, usually the story will go forward in a linear manner, then branch out according to the choices players made, resulting in a 3-branch shaped story. I have 8 romanceable characters for this game. One character will have 15 episodes, 8 endings. So as a whole, my game will have 64 endings and 120 episodes. With that said, let's build a UI for the story mode. This is a fake screenshot I drew for inspiration. Of course, it has to have the flowchart at the core part of the interface. Then there has to be buttons for you to press and select what character you want to read the story. For the art asset, I'm gonna draw 1 button, duplicate it, and then draw 8 icons resembling each romanceable characters. Now I'm gonna use texture button object, a function that comes with the game engine I use, Godot, resize to fit each button. Now when you click on this button, it will send a signal to the script asking the script to change the background. Character posing on the left, the background is the home of that character. And we also have decorative flowers that match that character. I drew in total 8 backgrounds for 8 characters. Next, I'm gonna work on a flowchart. In each episode of a story, I want a block that show you the name of the episode and another block that will show you the illustration of that episode. We're gonna use label for this. Right click, new label. This will give you a space to type the name of the episode. For now, I'm gonna do character name, then episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. I created a variable in the script called car select now, character you are selecting. Now, when you click this button, this variable will change its value to the name of that character. My Kit, August, Courtney, Claire, Emilia, Blake, and Amy. And I'm gonna create another function to check this variable and change the background according to the character being selected. And I'm gonna rearrange the flowchart a bit too. Now since we have the art asset for the character selector flowchart and return to the menu button, we should shift our focus to the background, which is still just a sketch. Mine is friendly, soft, cheerful, and warm, almost always smiling. So I pair him with yellow hibiscus, a flower of a warmer climate. Even its petals are wavy and curvy. Green can be friendly, sky blue can be cheerful, light pink can be welcoming, but yellow can imply sunlight, something that matches mine as a person perfectly. However, sunlight can be too bright. To downplay that, I put a pink graphic on his shirt and make him wear a heart necklace. If the sleeves too short, it can be read as athletic. If too long, it can imply low energy, less lively. So this length is perfect. This is my home. He lives in a tree house apartment, a big tree in the city with lots of houses on its branches. I'm gonna separate this into 3 parts: the character, the flowers, and the background. I'm gonna release a demo for this game in 2 to 3 months, and what's gonna be available in that demo is the prologue. So I'm gonna create a button that will lead you to the prologue page. Now as you can see, we have only 2 episodes. I spent some time writing the script for the prologue. The story will be sectioned in 2 days. The writing style of this game is inspired by the slice of life media genre, with frosting of magical realism. My personal style. Let's create a button with texture button, and we're gonna click it to enter the prologue. Now as you can see, we have nothing but the UI. According to the script, it's gonna take place in the school hallway. So I'm gonna import the school hallway background into the game. The character we're gonna meet in this scene is Mai. Story-wise, this is the first time you meet him. The story of this scene is Mai is returning you your textbook that you forgot in a class. Now, To make good impression with players, I want to animate this scene. My plan is the story will take place here, so I want you to walk toward here, and Mai will call you, and then you will turn to him. Then he will have a little conversation with you, like how I wrote in the script, and then return you the textbook you forgot. I'm gonna animate a long video in Procreate and put them in Godot. My method is start with base color, then adding details, then finishing touches. I intentionally minimize the number of frames of this animation. This sequence only has 8 frames. I want to make a little interactive system here. I want you to move your mouse along this line, creating this illusion that you are the one who turned the camera to look at mine. I will use 2 squares and a rectangle. When the mouse enters the first square, I will make the game create the second square. Then if the mouse enters the second square, the video will continue. The problem with this is you could enter the first square, then dance around the screen, then enter the second square later. So I created the rectangle. If you go out of this, the process will be cancelled, force you to try again from the start. To copy text from the script and put it in the game is easy, but to come up with a result for the reaction system is quite difficult. There's no automatic process in this. The amount of point you gain or lose is determined organically by me. When Maya asks, your name is Tale, right? You can reply in 12 different ways essentially, and each answer should make sense in the context of the story. I continue the animation sequence with Mai giving you the book. I match this with here, you forgot your textbook in a science class, and create the gesture interaction again here for you to take the book from his hand. Then we're gonna transition to normal visual novel perspective. I want to sprinkle this kind of animation throughout the game. On day number 9, you meet another romanceable character, Kid, a shy detective boy who specializes in finding hidden treasure. I made this animated sequence for him. In the story, you asked him if you guys could pair up in the PE class or not. He said yes. In the flowchart screen, I pair him with black lilies, which can imply concealment. Kid himself being shy, concealment. Detective who find hidden treasure, concealment. He also lived in the treehouse apartment. The interior of his home is very conspiracy theory at the core. The story of his route is romantic comedy with traditional episodic whimsical mystery elements. You first meet him in a gymnasium. I want blue and white as the main color of this location. Basketball hoops will be attached to a small tree. The flooring of the court will have floral motif. I also want some hanging fabric on the ceiling. Lastly, the overall vibe should match the other locations in the school. The first episode of the prologue will introduce 4 characters. The second will introduce another 4. For the background of the prologue page, I decided on fantastical galaxy because the Big Bang. My method is dark purple on entire canvas, scratching galaxy waves and stars, a layer of airbrush, another layer of galaxy waves, another layer of airbrush, lastly a layer of glitter. The other 2 characters I will introduce in the first episode is Claire and Amy. You first meet Claire at her cafe. In the story, she served you a red velvet cake. So of course I animated this moment. I want to start with you looking down at red velvet cake on your table, then move to the orange juice next to it, then follow through Claire's hand and reach her face at the end of the sequence. This sequence has 20 frames. 2 frames of animation is 1 megabyte. This scene is 10 megabyte, and I need a lot more of this for an entire game. If not careful, we could have 20 gigabyte game at the end. This is base color. Now I'm gonna add details, and then we're gonna work on the background. The moment where the camera swing from orange juice to Claire's face, since it's a quick motion, it's more suitable for me to paint loosely than being very definitive with my brush strokes. When you put light through transparent color object, the shadow will have the color of that object in it, like this. So I'm gonna copy this and paint some orange on the shadow of this orange juice. Now I'm gonna add details, and with finishing touches, we are done. I've been designing the thumbnail of this video, and I'm thinking something nature-ish. This cafe that Claire owned, located in a sunflower field. She's also a sunshine girl herself, so I pair her with sunflowers. Claire is interested in engineering. She created a lot of cute gadgets that can do ridiculous things like weather and gravity manipulation manipulation. Her own house is near the cafe but deeper into the sunflower field. The last animation for the first episode of the prologue is of Amy, who got approached by Amy on day 22 to walk for her fashion show. 2 days later, you are testing a makeup look in her apartment. But before we start working on this, I'm gonna go back and change something. On the first day of the game, I went back and changed this interaction moment a bit. I feel this motion kind of like you slap the book out of my hand, then grabbing it. So I changed the line of motion to just a click. It feels more natural this way. Amy is a fashion designer. Hydrangea were chosen because fashion is an art that's context dependent. The colors of hydrangeas changes according to the pH in the soil. She also lives in a treehouse apartment like mine and Kit. The animation for Amy is nothing complicated. You're just opening your eyes to see Amy in front of you. I can simulate the opening of one's eye through animation like this. Understandable, but robotic. Or I could show the movement of an eyelid like this. Not realistic, but it feels organic and interesting. We have 9 frames this time. Base color, adding details, then the finished piece. The entire episode 1 of the prologue takes place in 30 days. The animations will be placed in these 4 points in the timeline. I'm gonna work on this gap between animations. Most of the time again spent on coming up with results for the reaction system. These gaps are basically constant gameplay because in my game you need to react to every line of dialogue. I have, funnily enough, 100 lines of dialogue in this first episode of the prologue. When I come up with these results, I need to be conscious of the story context and fully understand character motivations. And at the same time, imagine myself as a player, adding some line in, removing some line out, changing the result of some line. An example is for this line, here you forgot your textbook. At first, if you're being sad about it, you will get minus points. Because I thought, well, someone is giving you the textbook you forgot. If you're not happy about it, then the person who is returning you the book will be pissed. But in the eyes of the players, maybe they might react sadly because they want to roleplay like, oh no, how did I forget? So I changed the result from negative to positive. The backgrounds needed for the story are already drawn out months ago. Classroom, the garden, the gallery. The character sprite has only one emotion. I drew 12 emotions for each character sprite, mimicking the choices in the reaction system players could make. I also created a variable in the code to dictate the emotion, then create a function that will check it. Neutral, happy, meh, playful, sad, bitter, well, surprise, displeased, delight, sneaky. So now that I link the emotion of the character to this variable, if I change this variable, the emotion of the character will change. Let's take a moment to appreciate the meh emotion. The emotions for one character takes like 1 to 2 hours to draw. Now my kid Claire and Amy can emote. I will do Blake, August, Courtney, Emilia later. One of the most difficult part in the writing process is I can't paste the story like it's a movie or a novel because I created the reaction system which made the main character a silent protagonist. All this resulting in a story that plays like a vlog content on YouTube, in essence telling a linear story but eliminating the moments where the vibe is boring and dull. And then there is the gameplay aspect that can be ignored. Sometimes good story don't lend itself to good gameplay. Sometimes good gameplay has a story that sucks. And to be honest, the amount of choices player could make in my game is just too much to test. 12 choices for a line of dialogue. I have 100 for the first episode of the prologue, so the possibility is 1200. After many days of writing the script, I finally put the entire script into the game. The way to figure out the right answer is not entirely random. For example, Amy, she talks aggressively, so if you are passive when conversing with her by using these emotions, sometimes she will not be pleased. Now I have text after text and resolve for reaction system in the game, so I'm gonna add background. According to the script, I need school hallway, classroom, school garden, school gymnasium, cafe, another school hallway, gallery, Amy house. I separate these into 2 layers, then I'm gonna put these into the game and create a system like the emotion system. Then do the same thing again with character. Then make the character emote in a way that align with what they are saying. Then I have to make small illustrations. I'm gonna put these in to add spices to the visual. A scene called for an illustration of a book. Another scene called for illustration of cookies. Another column of books. Another a fabulous dress. After I finish this full illustration, I'm gonna put it together with the script, together with the animations, together with the character sprite, together with the backgrounds. Of course, after that, I still need to test and fixing bugs and adjusting here and there. But on this day, we finally finished the first episode of the prologue. The story of the first episode of the prologue culminates at the flower day on the end of the first month. After you finish the first episode of the prologue, you will unlock the flower planting system, a system where you can plant 8 types of flowers. Of course, these flowers align with the flowers that I pair with the characters: hibiscus, rose, star-shaped purple flower, black lily, sunflower, purple tulip, ixora, and hydrangea. This system has 3 layers of art asset. First, the BG with flower pots. Second, the layer for the flowers. Third, the button for planting and selling flowers. So I'm gonna draw the flower pots on Procreate and then put it in the game. This scene is supposed to be on the balcony of the main character you are playing. It's located on the treehouse apartment in the city, like exactly right here. Then I'm gonna draw the flowers. These gonna be stylized, not realistic, not botanically accurate in any way. Sunflowers will not be tall. Roses will not come in the bush. Then I'm gonna separate them into their own separated objects. Next, time to make buttons with text label, and I'm gonna put them on each pot. I code so that when I click this button, the flower will pop up, and after we have the flower, I can sell it for heart coins. But these flowers are not free to plant. To plant them, you need butterflies, which you can gain from the chatting system. After a careful consideration, I decided to remove the hangout system from the game. I just think it's such a convoluted system and it's so hard to explain. When I said get thrown into a never-ending string of events at the beginning of this video, I thought, what a hard concept to grasp. Will people actually get it? And the answer I got from myself is no. So I created a chatting system instead. It's still the same principle, but a never-ending string of events is now a never-ending string of dialogue. Basically like a chatbot. An idea much easier to understand. You have character sprites, you have 8 buttons for selecting 8 characters, you have dialogue box, and you have the background. It's just the normal story mode, but the dialogue will be random from big pool of dialogue, like when you talk to villagers in Animal Crossing. But again, instead of just reading the dialogue, you can now react to it. And if you please them with your reaction, you will gain heart coins. If you displease them with your reaction, you will lose heart coins. And of course, these heart coins can be used to do many things in the game. However, after one line of dialogue, no matter the result, you will gain 1 social butterfly. And these social butterflies will be used to plant the flowers in the flower planting system. As of right now, only mine can be talked to, and he has only 20 lines of dialogue. How I created these lines of dialogue is very similar to how I wrote the main story, but I have to be conscious of how these dialogue need to be rotatable. With the way the mode is set up, dialogue 4 need to be able to read next to dialogue 6 or 20 or 11 and vice versa. Hypothetically speaking, if I only have 2 dialogue in the pool of dialogue, the illusion of reality will break in a blink of an eye because the character will repeat themselves every 3 seconds. So ideally I want as much dialogue as possible, so I will add more lines of dialogue in the future, for sure. I've been again working on the sketch for the thumbnail of this video. I want the main 4 love interests to sit in like a flower field, and I want the 3 branches and apple on the foreground. I guess the reason behind the nature theme is to symbolize my game growing, like flowers and fruits. I also decided to remove Tale from the thumbnail. I think it could confuse people and make them think you could date Tale too, when Tale is actually the customizable character you could play as. I think now is a good time to make the trailer to put on my Steam page. Of course, a trailer needs to show the core system of my game, and showing off the graphic, introducing all the dateable characters, conveying the mood and tone of the game. The core system we have true story mode, reaction system, chatting mode, dress up system, cooking system, flower planting system, and lastly, the personal story mode. The story of my game, experiencing through true story mode, will give you a vertical understanding of the story. Deeper story, longer narrative, more intense, let the character show their dream, perspective on the world, goal in life, but experiencing the story through personal story mode will give you a horizontal understanding of the story. Slice of life story, short, not intense at all, but let the character show their personality and their cute and fluffy side. True story episodes will be in flowchart form. Personal story episodes will be non-interconnected and episodic. A trailer also needs a song to accompany it. I guess this is the right time to compose the main theme of my game. The main poster convey everything I want to convey with this project. Soft, fun, romantic, and give players the good cozy feels. Violin, glockenspiel will be used for the drama and the romance. Kalimba will be used for the light-hearted energy. The main 4 characters of the game has theme song that's very specific. Mine used guitar to characterize the warm and fun of his character. Courtney used piano to characterize the classical and elegance. August employ unconventional sounds. Kit used electric guitar to explain and tease his adventurous side as a detective who finds hidden treasures. I guess it would be nice to involve the full instrument into the main theme of my game somehow. But I guess let's start on some sort of a nice, memorable melody. I finally settled on this. I'm gonna repeat this 2 times. I guess this is the hook of my song. Expanding from this, I'm gonna add a bass line to enhance the main melody. Then I guess I'm gonna bring the drum in. I guess violin would add some soft, cozy, romantic energy. I think we now have a fine tune, so I'm gonna add some dynamics to the bass line. I decided to have kalimba play the exact same melody as the piano to add the fun, the energy, the jumpiness. I decided to change the drum. The old drum was kind of like too relaxing. This new one has better energy. My theme employs guitar, so I'm gonna put a little guitar tune in here. August theme has this specific sound. So I'm gonna put this into the main theme, but it turned out to be too noisy and like horribly clashed with kalimba. So I duplicate the main melody and make it longer. The second part of the melody will have August sound. The first part will have guitar and kalimba. Courtney theme has piano, which is the main instrument of this song. Next, I'm gonna put electric guitar in because that's what Kid Themes has. I guess I want some sort of intro. So we have the song for the trailer. We will expand this into a full song later, but now this song is 38 seconds long and I think that is a nice length for the trailer. Now go back to what I want to show in the trailer. I want all this plus a short animated intro to open the video. So the intro will be here. I think it'd be great to pair this part of the song where I use August sound with a montage of all the animation in the first episode or prologue. The reaction system is the most important feature of my game, so I'm gonna show it here at the beginning of the hook. Then after that, I'm gonna follow by the cooking system and the dress up system, then use the available space we still have to introduce the dateable characters. Let's work on this section by section. First, we will start on the intro animation. Ideally, it should be about like 5 seconds long. Need to be impactful to give good first impression. These are my ideas. Tale going to school, Tale waking up in the morning, Tale posing with a rose, I think I'm gonna cut waking up. Too boring. And I already did this with the trailer for my third game, Carrot the First Seed. Thale going to school is okay, but I'm afraid it will give an impression of a school life simulator rather than a dating simulator. Now, Thale posing with a rose seems to be the most suitable one here. I mean, it could be just easy animation like this, but I want to add spice by playing with perspective. I'm gonna start by putting camera here and move it up to see Thale face and his hand in the foreground. Then I want the hand to grab a rose that presumably fell from the sky somehow. And the next cut is him looking down at the rose in first person perspective to imply the perspective you are playing in this game. Then cut again, and now we see Thale in the middle of the frame. Then he look up at the camera. Then the reaction buttons pop up next to his face. Then we're gonna cut to showcasing the reaction system. I find my storyboard to be quite nice. First, the way the camera move in the first cut is I think it's impactful enough to grab people. And then the second cut will show the perspective you're gonna be playing in this game, the visual novel perspective. And then the third cut will show the reaction system, the core mechanic of this game. Now this is just storyboard. I have to draft the actual frames to see how many frames I have to draw, to see the timing of everything, to see the big picture so that if something goes wrong, I could adjust accordingly. The environment of this animation gonna be displaced in the main poster, the front walkway into the main building of the school. I'm gonna run it on 6 frames per second. At first there are 17 frames, and I think it's already fine, but some part could be better. In the beginning section of the animation, there is something extremely jumpy about it, from foot to face to hand. If this is an action scene, I think it could do. But as an opener or a trailer, I think it's better to let people feel the transition between these points. So I drew 2 more frames in this section. I went to grab a rose that fell from the sky. In the first draft, Thale's arms can feel robotic. To make it more natural, I add 1 frame at the end. And I do the same when he pulled the rose near himself. I run this animation 6 frames per second. Industrially speaking, it's economical. For high-end animation, you can give emphasis on certain moment by having more frames. A ball bouncing on the ground. A ball bouncing on the ground. But for economical animation like what I'm making, we could just pause the animation to give emphasis. A ball bouncing on the ground. A ball bouncing on the ground. Therefore, in this animation, I paused frame 10, 11, 17, 18, 23 to give emphasis to the rose and drum up excitement before showing the reaction system, the important mechanic of this game. I'm gonna start animating by blocking the anatomy with 1 plain color since it's the most important part of the animation. Then start adding other colors, blocking big objects in the scene. After that, with rough midground, I start blocking the background. Then adding the light to make things more defined spatially. Next, I will gradually put in the details until things feel nice enough. I will start with the background, then move to the midground. Then I'm gonna add these petals like how I did in the main poster. Lastly, I will airbrush light in to finish the animation and add brush strokes here and there until it's nice enough. Next, I'm gonna work on the gameplay showcase. I capture some footage from the game. I will show the reaction system, dress up system, and cooking system. For character introduction, I decided on something simple and made these character cards with in-game sprite art. I softly used airbrush to create a blurry, colorful, abstract background. Then put in the character sprite, then animate their name. And lastly, I airbrushed the bright light on top of everything. Then I arranged everything into a nice little trailer. Then after finishing everything, I upload the trailer onto my Steam page. There it is. Let me show you the final product. This is my release plan. On May or June, I will release the demo for my game. And on June or July, I will put my game on early access, version 1.0. And in that version, one route will be available to play in full. My route. I think it will be like $4.99 or $5.99. And then I will keep updating the game, adding more routes every month or 2 months. This method will be very great for typo detection and bug fixing. I will incrementally increase the price of the game every time a new route is available until at a specific point the game will have 8 routes for 8 characters.